So how it all starts with, we will actually attend few meetings, okay? Attend few meetings and they are called as sprint plannings, okay? So this comes in Agile, okay? And then, should I explain Agile to you now? I'm just thinking. Okay. So these keywords, right? These keywords are part of Agile methodology, okay? In Agile methodology, there are few keywords like sprint planning, grooming, okay, daily stand-ups, or they call it Scrum calls, then retrospective calls, and what else they have? They can also have story refinement, okay, all these. Then few of the terminology like they'll ask what is sprint. Sprint is the timeline, okay, timeline that a project agrees to complete a story. So what is a story? Story is nothing but, story means a small requirement in Agile. In Agile, story means this. So how that hierarchy is, no? First, see, I'll explain you Agile, okay? So first, what will happen? The problem state will be defined, okay? Problem statement. Who will define this? The customers, okay? That means they will discuss and they will come up with the problem statement. So the problem statement is basically what is the requirement, what this requirement has to achieve, okay? So that high level thing they call it epic, okay, in Agile. So I'm explaining Agile methodology for you. So the high level requirement is called an epic, okay, and this epic is broken down into stories, okay, stories, and these stories are broken into many tasks. Understood? So let me show you an example. So this you can just think of. Just now I said no. That is how this works. So theme, okay, ignore theme. Theme might be one more high level requirement. That theme is broken down into epics. One epic is broken down into multiple user stories, okay, and multiple user stories. Say for example, this is how they write a user story. They say this is the template they follow and this is compulsory, okay? You have to have these wordings as a dash, I can dash on my dash, okay? So this is how they write the user story. So the template to write a user story is as a ETL tester, okay? So that role we are doing, okay? I want to, okay, do what? Say for example, validate the data from source to target. I want to validate the data from source to target so that, okay, see, all these are templates. So this is the role we have to play, okay, and what we are wanting. So here we do, after we do this, what should have, what should happen, okay, so that the data loss is not happened and the data is bug free, okay, like this we write stories. Hmm? So that is the this one. What is it? The syntax you can say. Okay, that is how you have to write a user story. Okay, and there is something called acceptance criteria. I'll show you. So these user stories are broken down into tasks. So what happens? First, you have to work on the task which is assigned to the user story. Okay, so if there are like five tasks, okay, after completing this five tasks, it means that one user story is completed. After completing multiple user stories, that means one epic is complete. After completing multiple epics, one theme is completed. So that is how it works. You understood, no? The hierarchy, the classification, how it is done. I will show you epic stories tasks. This again, this one you can explain a little more. Like you see, right? This one gives a fair idea. Okay. So there they call theme, here they call initiative. Okay. They come up with multiple epics. Okay. Then that multiple epic, this is a high level requirement epic. Okay. Then they break that epic into multiple user stories. So one big work is broken down into small works. Okay. And this story is assigned some time. Usually they call it sprint. So in sprint can be defined by their project. Okay. So few projects talk like one sprint is 2 weeks. Others say one sprint they consider agree upon to be 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, etc. Not more than that. Okay. Then one story has multiple tasks underneath, and one task might have also subtasks. Okay. So this is how the grouping is done or classification is done. Do you understand? No, this is like you divide and conquer approach. So one big piece, instead of working on this, you divide into small user stories and you start working on small things. Okay, and finally you end up clubbing everything and completing this. That is how things will work. Okay. I'll give this. Maybe you guys can have it. I want to show you stories. So basically, this is how the stories will be there on the Jira board. Okay. See, Jira board is a board where you actually manage or run all the agile ceremonies. Okay, you track the stories, you complete it. Okay, you burn hours to that. Okay, so and I go here, epic. So this epic, okay, can be sized based on the complexity. Okay, if it is a very big epic, then they size it as large, and if it's a medium complexity they size it as small, and if it's a less complexity they say it is a small t-shirt as well. So this is kind of a t-shirt size, the keywords they use. So epics are sized on the t-shirts. Okay, so if an epic is big, that means there is a lot of work that has to be done to complete this, then they call it a large size. If it's a medium range epic, that means some less than large, okay, work has to be done to complete this. So they then tag that as a medium size epic. And if the epic is pretty small, like the small amount of work needs to be done to close this, then they size it as small. Okay. So feature also. This may or may not be there, but it depends on project to watch it. Okay, so feature, here we actually tell how many weeks, okay, how many weeks this has to be completed. Okay, see, weeks 1 to 5. Let story points roll up. So what is a story point? So story point is nothing but it will give the complexity. Okay, if a story, user story is like very complex, then you will assign a higher story point. Story point are like poker card numbers. If you have seen the poker card, they have the numbers like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, etc. Okay, 13, etc. Okay, so let me have this. I'll just go user stories example. I'll give you. I have it, but I'm not supposed to share it on my laptop. Otherwise, I'll try to share it on the group afterwards. No, I cannot share it. Okay. So whatever I'm showing, see all this. This is how your Jira board looks like. Okay, wherein you can see this is the story description, and there'll be here. You see here, click to add description. Here we actually write the problem statement, and then there will be something called acceptance criteria. Okay, not finding right example. Sorry. Okay. So this is a good example. Okay, this is how a story will be written in your Jira board. Okay, you have the Jira. Okay, that's a tool. Okay, there you maintain all the stories and all the versions over there. So what happens in the story description? You will actually write. So as a ETL tester, I want to. So this will be a story description. Okay. Okay. And once you write the story description, you will have to write the acceptance criteria. You see, there is acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria means definition of done. Okay. So what do you mean by definition of done? So when you say the story is complete, okay. So that you have to define here. Say for example, there are two or three data points. So once you complete all this, you can say the story is completed. Completed means the story or the requirement whatever is posted here is complete. Okay, so what are the few things you can think on top of your head? Okay, so here we are saying you want to validate the data from source to target so that the data loss is not happened and the data is bug free. So first what we need to make sure, validation successful from source to target, that is one point. Okay, and no defects. So these 2 points. So when you are able to, so when you are able to actually validate or successfully run these two data points, that means you have completed the testing. So that is what acceptance criteria mean. So for this story description, what all has to be done, what work has to be done, okay, to call this story complete, okay, so that has to be mentioned in the acceptance criteria. Understood? No? Yes. So I'll give you one more requirement. Think that there should be a monthly sales report generated for March 2023. Okay. So in this case, now if I want to write the story description and acceptance criteria, no. So I'll show you how to write. So story description. Okay. Description will actually differ from the roles. If a developer is writing, his description will be different. He will write like, as a ETL developer, I want to develop or build the mappings in which tool Informatica so that the monthly report will be generated. Okay, this is what as a developer he will write. Okay, and what he has to do is here as a developer this one, and I want to, okay, then you have to fill in the blanks till here, then so that, okay, after that you have to fill in the blanks. Okay, so as part of acceptance criteria, what he has to write, he has to write, create the required mappings and run them successfully. Okay, so this one is enough for him. Okay, this is how a developer will write his story description and acceptance criteria. Okay, but as a tester, we'll write differently. So what we will write as a no, sorry, my bad, as an ETL tester, I want to validate the monthly sales report for March 2023 so that the data is defect free and without any data loss from source to target. So this is all pretty common. Like we just apply our common sense to write. Okay, there's nothing rocket science. Okay, and also post this all right. Uh, just based on your previous experiences only, you can start thinking and writing. Okay, so now what would be the acceptance criteria? So what points you have to complete here so that this story will get completed? What work have you have to do? So here you can say, you'll say, validate if the monthly sales report is generated as expected. That is one. Okay, then you'll say, validate the data in the monthly sales report. Validate if the data in monthly sales report is defect free and no data loss is happened. Understood? You're getting a gist of it, right? How to write? Yes, no? Tejasvi, understanding? Okay, how about Abhijit? We are just discussing on the story, how to write it. This is part of Agile methodology. Yes, we write our own stories. See, requirement will be given. Okay, requirement will be given. So story, this requirement will actually be given, and this description we have to write. So this story, okay, requirement is got from the epic high level requirement. Understood, no? So after we write this story, okay, we have to assign the complexity. Okay. Now you know what has to be done. You would actually see, you would foresee the timelines as to how many days it might take for you to complete that. So that calculation you have to do in number of hours. Okay, say for example, 12 hours is enough to work on this. Okay, so you will say there is a column to update the estimated hours. Okay, estimated hours. So you will say 12. Then every day after working something, you have to burn the hours. Okay, so number of hours is one column. I forgot. I will give you this, okay, exact screenshot, but I cannot share it now. Okay, so something like that. So out of 12 hours, say you have worked for 4 hours today. So 12 minus 4 is how much? 12 minus 4 is 8. So 8 hours is pending. Okay. Then here also this will get updated to 8 hours. So finally what should happen? No? So here everything should become 0. So when it becomes 0, that means that here it will be 12 hours. Total number of hours work. So 12 minus 12 is 0. So that means that you have completed everything. You exhausted all the timelines or the bandwidth it was associated for this story, and then you make it 0 and you close the story. Okay. And also there is something called story points. I told you, no, story points. So these are the poker numbers you assign. Okay, based on the complexity. So you see here and you understand this is fairly simple. So you are getting the monthly sales report, and then what you have to do is you have to validate the monthly sales report. Okay, so the medium complexity you can say three pointer. Okay, if it is very easy you can say one pointer. If it's a medium you can say three pointer, or little complex you can say five pointer story, or seven pointer story, or nine pointer story, or 11 pointer story. So maximum what I worked till now, most of them the highest complexity was like five only. Okay, and in some cases I saw 7 and also 11 at times, but that is very complex. Okay, so story points define the complexity of the story. Okay, so this is these are the keywords you guys need to understand. Okay, got it? Yes, no? So this is how you actually end up writing stories. Okay, you see here, definition of done. So this is how an example of agile would be here. So here they call it Kanban. So that's a subset of agile. So here you see assignee. So assign to whom? Okay, it might be to me or to you. Reporter is a person whom you have to complete, your manager. Okay, and when it create, when it's updated, this definition of done is nothing but your acceptance criteria. Here you add your description. So type priority. Okay, priority and severity, they are two different things. I'll explain later, but just for information, priority is how soon you have to fix the defect. Okay, and severity is how badly that defect is impacting your business or the application. Okay, so based on that you guys come up with priorities like P1, P2, P3, P4, etc., and severity is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that I'll explain later. But this is how, this is one of the board. Okay, this is not the only one, this is one of the board. There might be multiple Jira boards. See, you see, this might be one. So user stories, who, what, why. Okay, that is what I told you. See how the Jira board will look. Jira board. Ideally, this is how you have the Jira board. Your team, right, for your team they'll create some space on the Jira, and your Scrum Master will actually create these things. Okay, now if you are working on, say for example, this one. Okay, so let's say create 90 days plan for all departments in Mars office. So if this is assigned to you, if the developer is working, then there'll also be a story. Okay, for you to validate whatever the developer has done. So when you click on this, okay, when you click on this something like this will open up. Not this one, the earlier I showed you, no, to write the acceptance criteria, all the stuff. So it will open up sometimes like this also, it will be. Okay, so it depends on what kind of project they're using. And to track the progress, right, you have the to do, in progress, and done. So whenever the story is created, okay, then that story will be in to do. And when you start, basically, so you have to actually create tasks also. So how to create tasks? So once this is done, for each story we have to create task. Task is nothing but more in-depth information of your day-to-day activities. So a task, what will say, create or draft test cases and prepare, create test case document. So that is one task. So how many hours you need for this? Say for example 4 hours. Okay, that you will mention there. Next, what you should prepare test data. Okay, then you might need say 2 hours. Okay, then third task will be execute these test cases with the underlying data. So say this might take a lot of time. Say we'll put say 8 hours. Okay, and say upload all these docs in the SharePoint. Okay, SharePoint is a common place. So say this might take say half an hour. Okay, now you sum up everything 4 to 8. So it is 14.5 hours. So 14.5 hours is the estimated work over here. 14.5 hours. Okay, initially everything will be 14.5 hours. Numbers was 0, and the state of this will be in progress. Sorry, to do. Okay, to do. And when you click on the drop down, okay, when you click on the drop down, this is a drop down. Ideally you will have another state like in progress and done. Okay, so what happens, the task will be created, right? So it will be in progress. Here, when you start working, what you have to do manually, you have to pull this from here to this. Okay, then once this task is completed, you have to pull this to done state. Okay, there will be three things over there. Okay, you see here, no, this is how it will look. So backlog is nothing but it is a repository where all the stories are available. Okay, there will be story backlog. Sprint backlog also will be there. So two things, story backlog and sprint backlog. Story backlog and sprint backlog. sprint backlog will contain, story backlog usually contains all the stories. Okay, all the stories, irrespective of all the stories, irrespective of any sprint. This will contain stories only with respect to current sprint. Okay, say for example, there are 10 stories over here. Okay, there are 10 stories over here, and out of which you will be working on this current sprint. So, what is sprint? Sprint is a timeline, say 2 weeks. Okay, so for this 2 weeks timeline, that is one sprint. Okay, you will take two stories from here and push it to sprint backlog, and you'll start working. Still 8 stories will be there in story backlog. Suppose say you completed that, in the next sprint you can bring those two stories into next one. So they call it like, they name it like sprint 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, like that. Okay, so this is about it. You have the to do, you'll pull this card here in progress. When this is done, someone, so few projects have this review card as well, so they pull it from here to here. After this is done, then it will go to done state. So if all the tasks are done, then one story is completed. If all the stories are completed, then one epic is completed. Got it? It is a little tough to actually imagine. That's why I'm trying to explain you with lot of examples. All this, no, we used to do it while we are going to office. They'll create it manually. They'll stick all the stories. What is the stories? It's number. Then task to do. Okay, then what is work in progress, what are all done. They'll be manually pulling the sticky notes and pasting here from here to here, they'll be doing. Okay, then there is something called velocity. This is the burn down chart. So burn down chart is how quickly you are completing the all the tasks. Okay, so the velocity will be actually defined by total number of stories. Okay, total number of story points. Say a developer has 10 story points, we have 10 story points, so velocity will be total 20, and 20 has to be completed by end of that particular sprint. Okay, and in daily stand-ups what we do, no, so in daily stand-ups we actually give our status update. So whatever we discuss now is story refinement. In story refinement, what we do is we write the story description, we write the acceptance criteria, okay, we assign the story points, okay, and we assign the number of hours also. In sprint, I told you what is it. So in daily stand up, what happens? This is the template we follow. What did I do yesterday? Okay, then what will I be doing today? Then what are my impediments? What are impediments? Nothing but blockers. Okay. What are my impediments or blockers? That means, so I'll say yesterday I was working on this data validation. I was able to complete half of it, and today I'll be working on that, and also I noticed that there is no source data available, so that is my blocker. Okay, then what, who will actually run this, right? The scrum master. There is one person called scrum master. His role is to bridge other team members together. Okay, so like in software development, okay, like in waterfall model, there is waterfall model. What happens is a separate team of developers will be there, separate team of BA, separate team of testers, separate team of UAT. Okay, separate team of deployment. So all these will be there and they'll be located at different, say development team will sit at one place. Then tester team will sit at one place. Okay, UAT will sit at one place. But in Agile, what happens, right? So all will sit together. Say for example, they'll take two developers from here. Okay, they'll take one BA from here. They'll take two testers from here. They'll take two UAT guys from here. UAT is proxy testing customer. They'll take one deployment guy from here, and everybody will sit at one place only. Okay, that is how Agile is. So Agile means, as you said, it should be faster. No, so everybody located at one place, right? It is easier to actually communicate and do the work faster. Okay. Say for example, if the developer is somewhere and tester is somewhere, so he has to chat and he has to send an email, they have to connect and everything. But if they are sitting together, he just walks up to him and he explains it, and that's it, right? The things will actually move faster. So that is the concept of Agile primarily. Okay. So now coming back, this is the daily stand-ups, and at the end, last day of sprint. Okay, they will ask you when the retrospective happens. Last day of the sprint. That is the, if sprint is 2 weeks. If a sprint is 2 weeks, then on the 14th day you perform the retros or retrospectives. Okay. So what will happen in this call? So in this call, okay, in this call we'll say what went well, what did not go well, what are the solutions to make sure these problems are not repeated. Okay. So all these are called agile ceremonies. They will ask you what are the different agile ceremonies you have. Then you can say sprint planning, sprint grooming, okay, retrospective, daily stand-ups. Then that's it about agile. You guys have any doubts? After this, no, I will tell you the day-to-day responsibilities of a tester. Okay, please ask questions. No, this is all new. So Epic is a very high-level requirement. Okay, so that high-level requirement is broken down into multiple stories. Okay, and those stories are shared between the developers and testers. Like developer has some task to do with the story, correct? What the developer does, he will develop or build, he will code. What tester has to do with that story, the tester has to test that story, correct? Developer has to build that or code that story, developer has to test that. So ideally in one story there'll be multiple tasks. Okay, so developer will put his task, okay, and we will put our task as well. Okay. No, so stories also are unique to developers. I'm sorry, because inside the description we'll be writing. So developer will write his own description. Okay, tester will write his own description and his acceptance criteria. So for one particular epic, it is broken to multiple user stories based on the rules. Okay, so developer has to do coding. So he will write story description according to his correct, and he will actually create. and the tester will have to test, so he will write his description and he will create. Okay, like that. I'll try to share a pic from real time, okay, in the group, so that you'll get a better understanding. Hmm. Yes, your name will already be configured, so when you click on the drop down, your name will show up. Yes, correct. So whenever you kind of select your name or search with your name, you will get all that work that is assigned to you. So that is there in the, yeah. No, no, no. It is done by some other Jira tool guys. Okay, Jira guys who manage the Jira software. They will actually add your name. So whenever you join the team, no, your Scrum Master will send an email to the Jira team. Okay, so who will be maintaining? So they will actually add your name in the Jira list. Hmm. Work that is assigned to you has to be done by you. Okay. Yes. So developer, he'll get his story. That means that is his work. User will get, user tester will get your, like, if you're a tester, you will get your story and you have to do your work. Okay. And who will do this assignment basically? Okay, Scrum Master is there. So during meetings he will come up and he will ask, there are meetings over there, so he will ask, okay tester, if there are two testers, they'll ask who will be working on this. So you say so and so person, then he will tag that to that person. If you are working, then he'll say, okay, I'm tagging you to this. So every tagging you get an email, and there are comments also. Okay, after completion you can post in the comment section that this work is completed, and attached all the documents. Okay, and if you can also tag some person. Say for example, you want that information to be known to your manager, you can write his name over there, and that will actually go as a notification to him in the inbox. He can review it. Okay, so all this can be done. So I'm saying that your work will be assigned by your managers or team leads. Okay, so that you have to pick and you have to work. So assignment is done. Okay, so for example, I am the only tester, so obviously all the testing activities I only have to do. If there are two testers, then definitely the workload is split between two, correct? So manager or team lead will decide who will be working, and during the meeting scrum master will ask them who will pick up. If there is no manager or team lead in your agile, then among you two, you both only have to coordinate and say, okay, you do this, I'll do this. Okay, like that. So day-to-day responsibilities of ETL tester is something called PBA also is there. That is product backlog item. Product backlog item. Product backlog item. This is the actually the story. Okay. PBA numbers they say. Here the story will be there. You have the description. Okay, one line header, that description. The sorry, the title and description, everything. So here, this is what we spoke about here. No, the only thing, story title I missed. So story title and its description, all this will be there. Acceptance criteria. So that is a PBA. So what we'll do is we will, as a tester, what we will do, we will understand the PBA first. Okay. Then create the tasks for that story. Then what we do, then work on that task. So basically create test cases, then prepare test data, then what else, execute the test cases with the test, test data already prepared. Okay, then attend daily scrum calls or stand-ups. So this is stand-up is a status meeting every day. Okay, like you have to tell what I did yesterday, what I'll be doing today. Do you have any blockers? Okay, and attend the prospective calls. That's all. So as a tester, you'll be doing all this. Okay, understood. Do you have any questions? So just go through the video. Okay, this is fairly new concept for everyone. Okay, and you can ask questions tomorrow. There's no hurry. Because this week, as I told, right, I have 2 more days, so I'll not start SQL. From Monday, I will start SQL. Okay, Monday or Tuesday. I'll be traveling, so Monday I'll be back. If not, Tuesday I'll connect. But tomorrow and day after tomorrow we will have classes. Okay, I will share these notes to you guys, or I'll upload these note. Okay, in our share drive. Okay. Yes. This is your day to. This is how your project will work. Project will function basically. So if somebody wants and